Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phebe Joy. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Something About Tuesdays, episode 54. I'm your host, Phebe Joy, and hi, hey, and welcome. Happy April, everyone. I think, when does this come out? Is it April Fool's Day? I think it's the day after April Fool's Day. I don't know. Let me look. I guess I should have known this. It is April Fool's Day. Happy April Fool's Day, you all. I'm recording this the Saturday before, but first day of April. Yay. Honestly, I don't know when's the last time I've ever done a prank on April Fool's Day. I guess that's what you do is you pull like a prank. And I guess there's been different trends of different kinds of pranks, but I'm not really sure if I've actually ever pulled one myself or attempted to. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys have ever done one or pulled off a really good one, or if you even participate in April Fool's Day. It's kind of like St. Patrick's Day for me. Like the only thing that I do St. Patrick's Day related is wear green. And honestly, this year I wore green, but I forgot that if you don't wear green, you're supposed to be pinched. Like I didn't even think about that. I forgot about that part of the tradition, and I have no idea why. Like, I guess once you've done something so long, you're like, why do we even do this? I remember thinking that this year. I was like, what exactly is St. Patrick's Day? Like, what are we celebrating? All I know is we wear green, talk about leprechauns, and think about Irish people. And that's it. That's all I got. But anyway, happy April Fool's Day. Happy April to everyone out there. Happy spring. Happy early birthday to my mom. This is her birthday month. And to anyone else born in April, happy April. I'm so glad we're here. This is my spring break. Woohoo! We actually started the Friday before spring break was our professional development day. So if you didn't have your professional development hours, for us, we have to get 24 each year. So if you didn't have that, that'd be the day that you'd have to get it done. But luckily, I had mine done in advance. So Friday, I was able to have off and be able to relax at home, and as well as celebrate my kiddo's birthday. Just happened to fall on her birthday then too. So shout out to my Meister who turned 21. Cannot believe it, but you go girl. So I am happy that it is spring break. This week also, later on this weekend, I guess Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be our ladies conference. Woohoo! That's always exciting. I am honored to be able to sing there again this year. I'll have to let y'all know how that goes in our next episode. But I am excited about it. This year, for me, for the first time ever, I'll be using in-ears. If you are a singer or a musician of any kind, you're like, well, yeah. But our church, we don't, I think our musicians have in-ears, but the singers do not. And there are these headphone things that I think are attached to, they're like a monitor, maybe? I think they're supposed to take the place of the big monitors that everybody has to hear from, so you can kind of choose how you hear things. Y'all, I don't know how it works. So I'll let y'all know how it works and if I like it after this past week or this next week. I am kind of excited to try them. I think it'll make me feel kind of cool to actually have some in-ears. So hopefully it'll go well. I have to think about what kind of outfit I want to wear, because I know it's got like cords and you're supposed to hook it somewhere like on a belt or something. Y'all, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. But our ladies conference is this year. While I feel honored to sing, I'm especially honored that my pastor's wife is actually speaking at the conference this year, and that's pretty cool. I'm praying for her this week, but I know she's going to do awesome, so that's exciting. So this spring break will be pretty good. I plan to, like I said, not do much other than have that ladies conference, just chill at home, relax, maybe get me a massage, and just enjoy my spring break. So whatever you do, if you have your spring break right now, I hope you enjoy it, whether you're going somewhere really cool or you're just chilling at home, whatever that is or whatever that looks like. Enjoy your break. And if you don't have a spring break, I hope work feels good for you. Maybe open up the windows this week. Luckily, we've had pretty good weather yesterday and today, and so our windows were open today and open yesterday, and that breeze feels good, and that warm kind of fresh air feels good. Now, I don't know how long it'll last because I think it's supposed to rain and storm here in this next week. But for the moment, it does feel very nice out there. So open up a window, get some fresh air, and enjoy that pretty spring air. So, okay. Now, last episode, I had so many school stories, and I don't know why. I don't know if just the kids, it was just, I don't know, getting closer to spring break. But you guys, looking at my list again, I still have some school stories. I don't know what it is. I mean, usually I share like one or two an episode because, I mean, that's just my life. Since that is my job, that's where most of my, what's happening in my life comes from. But I don't know what it's been lately, but just little things have stuck out to me with these kiddos here. I don't know if they've just been on it, if they've just been feeling more talkative, just feeling more quirky, more sweet. It's been a little bit of everything. But so I've got a few school stories that I want to share, and then I got to tell you about a couple of church moments, and then just a few more random thoughts. So again, like last episode, you guys, I feel like, I mean, it was fun, and I feel like I talked fast, and it still took like almost an hour and a half to get through everything, which is great. Like, I hope you don't mind. In this episode, I'm like, I wonder how long this one's going to be, because I've got quite a few things on this list, but we might get through it quick. We may not. I don't know. So if you've got, quite a bit of dishes to do, this might be the episode for you to do during that. So let's start with the school stuff. The first thing I wanted to start with was this little guy. Okay, so I had to sub in a classroom, a first grade classroom, and which is, I mean, it's fine. I work with first graders mostly with my ELD job, so I know most of the first graders anyway, whether they are multilingual learners or not. And so teaching, subbing in a first grade classroom is really not a big deal. Now, y'all, a side note, I did have to sub in a fifth grade classroom. Fifth graders are so different. Oh my goodness. I do like their independence a bit, like a bit of their understanding, but man, I actually have to I don't know, be on it and think when I'm with fifth graders, and I'm like, So anyways, I was subbing in a first grade classroom, and while I was in there, I was having the kids read a book. One of my favorite things to do is go ahead and let's read, because kids do not get near enough opportunity to read. And so I was like, let's read a book. And one little guy who I don't meet with, but I do sometimes, he decided to get this book on spiders. Well, and I was helping him pick the book out. So he picked the book out, and I made the comment, "Oh, so you must like spiders." And he was like, "Yeah." And you guys, that opened the floodgates. I tell you what, every 2 minutes he would come up to me, which I normally do not allow. I'm like, you raise your hand if you need to get out of your seat, but don't just come up to me. But you guys, because this is a kid who normally doesn't talk much that I've seen to adults, to his peers, of course, but he just doesn't say much. And so the fact that he was coming up with me to talk, I was like, we're going to let this happen. And every time he would turn the page in his book and get to a new part about spiders, he would come up and he would show me the picture and he would try to say something about it, which I'm for it. I'm like, yes, let's build this oral language skill. Yes. And he would just talk about it. But you guys, it was these spiders he was showing me. So y'all know kids' books are, I mean, they're fun if you think about the picture books, but this was a nonfiction book. So it is showing you real spiders. And of course, they're all zoomed in and showing you how cool they are. But for me, I'm like, how freaky they are. And he would just put this book right in my face, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And there was this one page, y'all, I cannot remember what kind of spider it was. It was the weirdest looking spider, though. It was kind of like skinny and long. I don't know. It was, y'all, I was like, I didn't even know spiders could look like that. And he's like, look, and he's telling me all about it and showing me his eyes and showing me the stuff. And I was like, yes. Is this what parents feel like when their kids obsess about something and want to show them that all the time? And you're like, if you're not interested, especially if it's something like spiders, or there's this one book and it was about worms. And you guys, I was like, I can't look at these pictures. Like, this is gross. Like, to me, this is nasty. Like, why would I want to look at this picture? But kids find it interesting. And so you suck it up and you're like, cool spider. Yeah, that's a very unique spider with those big eyes and those hairy legs. I was like, oh boy, but that was too cute and too fun. But the next thing I want to share with you guys was these are with my kindergartners. So I I see small groups. So I brought my kindergartners upstairs to our little room, and I had brought two new students who would be joining our group. And so usually as I introduce kids to my group, I, let them know the reason why they're there. And so I start the group and I'm sharing with them, and I'm like, okay, guys, like this is your group where you are going to learn English. And I tell them you're going to learn to speak English, and you're going to learn to listen to English and to write and to read in English. And I said, if you're in this group, it's because you can speak another language. And a lot of you can speak Spanish. And all my little kiddos were like, yeah, like I speak Spanish. I speak Spanish. They were so proud. I was like, yes, you do. And so I said, I moved my hand up. If you can picture kind of like how you would measure something, like think about your hand being low to high, and you're like, this is low, this is high. So I said, your Spanish is really high. So I lifted my hand, high above my head. And then I said, and your English is like right here. And I lifted it up about midway. And I said, what I want to do is I want to get your English just as good as your Spanish so you can be great in both. And they were like, and they were starting to get it. They were like, yeah. Well, then they were having way too much fun comparing each other's Spanish and English. Y'all, this is kindergarten. And they were looking at each other like, your Spanish is here, your English is here. And they were like roasting each other because they would be like, your English is way down here to their friends, and like, your Spanish is up here, and then your Spanish is here. And then they were like, no, my Spanish is here and my English is here. And they would bring their hands back up. And then this is the part where I was like, kids are smarter than you think. One of them looked at me and said, Miss McGay, your English is here. And they lifted it really high, and they're like, and your Spanish is here. And they had it really low. And then they all started laughing. I was like, did you guys just make fun of me? But I laughed and I said, that is so true. And they said, you have to practice your Spanish at home, because I tell them to practice their English at home. And so they started telling me, Miss McGay, you need to practice your Spanish at home. And I was like, yes, I do. And I was like, if you practice your English at home. And so they were joking. It was too cute, y'all. This is kindergarten. 5-year-olds. I was like, how do y'all have a sense of humor? And how do y'all know to tell me that I need to practice my Spanish? I thought that was too precious. And with the preciousness, though, let me tell you, so working with kids, you know that they can be way too cute. And you also know that they can just say whatever comes to mind. So my first grade group, this happened. So y'all know, I told y'all about my edges last episode, how my poor little edges left me. And so I'm now having to come up with creative ways to do my hair. And by creative, really, I'm just doing what I've always done, just with bangs and swoops, right? And with headbands. So I wore my hair, I had my little bangs out, and then I had a headband, which, you guys, I wear the headbands all the time. I don't know why this time it was different, but I had my headband and my swoop and things, and I went to go pick up my kids. And the first thing one of my little girls says, this is a first grader, she goes, oh, Miss McGay, you look pretty today. And I was like, okay, like fine. The today, unnecessary, but okay. Y'all, she continued. And she goes, I've never seen you look like this. I was like, wait a minute. And I said, that's rude. She's like, oh, no, Miss McGay, hey, I mean, you just look pretty. I was like, well, thank you. Like, but first off, y'all, I have worn my hair like this before. It is not that unique. And then I was like, you've never seen me look pretty ever until today. We've worked with each other since the beginning of the year, and okay. But so I thought that was precious, albeit a little offensive, but not near as, y'all. Listen to this. So one of my 4th grade students, and y'all, we're getting through these stories quick because like I said, there's a few of them, and I don't know why this is the week of just the funny things kids have said, but this is it. So I had my 4th graders, and you're like, how many kids do you have? I have kindergarten. I do see kindergarten, 1st grade mostly, and then I have one 4th grade math group that I see. And so I had my 4th graders with me, and this was just Thursday, maybe? This was just a couple days ago. And they were sitting there, and I was doing kind of like I would say like an end of unit assessment. I was just kind of going over all the things that we had learned and practiced so far just to see, what they knew and where we needed to go next after spring break. So while they were doing that, we were playing a game and they were talking about this singer, and I can't remember his name now, but they're like, I was like, I have never heard of this guy. And they're like, you haven't heard of him? And I was like, no, I haven't. And they were like, well, he's cool. He does music. He does this. And then they just start talking about him. They're like, yeah, he's really good. He's old though. He's like 34. And then one of the kids was like, yeah, he's 2 years older than my mom. And I was like, yeah, guys, he's old. And they were like, he is. And then of course, one of them, Miss McGay, how old are you? And I said, I'm 35. And one of the girls said, huh, well, 35 is not old. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, it's not? And she's like, yeah, 34 is old, but 35 is not old. I was like, oh, okay, make sense to me. But I appreciate you trying to backpedal there. I was like, you guys. And then, of course, they were comparing. They're like, yeah, well, my mom is younger. My mom's like 32 or something. And I was like, oh, yeah. But I did have one student who said, my mom's like 40. I can't remember how old he said she was, like 46 or something. And he was like, I've got nephews that are like 7. Like, they're close to my age. And I was like, oh, okay. Made me feel a little better about maybe one day being one of them older moms, apparently, since I'm old already. But again, like I said, they don't, kids, they'll tell you what they think. But it's cute when they do try to make it up and be like, well, 35 is not old. I mean, 34 is old, but 35 is not old, even though that logic makes 0 sense. But I did appreciate their effort. So I did like that. Okay, just a few more stories, y'all. It's just been a fun couple weeks. So, all right, this thing on the topic of feeling old, y'all, and with one of my, let me see, which group was this? First grade group, we are walking out the door. Next to the door is one of those old school pencil sharpeners. You guys know, just the ones that are attached to the wall. You put your pencil in, you got to crank it. The kid had the audacity to say, what is that? I was like, what is what? And they're like, that right there. And I said, it's a pencil sharpener. And they were like, and you just stick your pencil in? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, and then what do you do? Because they're used to the electric sharpener. So I was like, you turn the handle and you sharpen your pencil. I was like, are you serious? Like, we are not so far removed from using pencil sharpeners, you guys. Like, maybe they're just used to the little ones. Maybe they're just used to the electric ones. But come on, the ones against the wall, like, those have been there forever. Sure, we never used them, but you should know what that is and you should know how to operate it. Just kind of like, I guess, the old school phones, like the old rotary phones. Maybe if a kid saw that, they'd be like, what do we do here? Like, try to push the buttons and the buttons don't push type thing, I was just flabbergasted by what these kids do not know, and thinking about, wow, like, different generations, most definitely. But anyway, all right. So then another story, another first grader. I just thought this was too cute. So I went to pick her up from her classroom. Good little student. It was this week. Like I said, everything has been this past week. It's just been, I think it's because it's the week before spring break. Like, we're all ready. We are all so ready for spring break. So I went to pick up this one little girl, cute as can be. And I go to pick her up and she goes, I forgot my glasses. And y'all, I've never known her to wear glasses. And I was like, oh yeah, go get your glasses. You need to be able to see. She's like, yeah, I cannot see without my glasses. And I was like, oh, I'm glad she got that fixed. Y'all, tell me why she comes out with these really cute heart red glasses with no lenses in them. And when I say she seriously looked at me and said, I can't see without them, put them on her face and walked with me, I was like, okay. And you guys, 2 days in a row, she was like, I need my glasses. I can't see without them. And y'all, these glasses do not have lenses. And I'm like, okay, I guess, if all you know about glasses is that you need to put them on to see better, okay. I don't know if it's just her imagination. I don't know who told her that these glasses will help you see better, whether they got lenses in them or not. But I thought it was too precious that she held up our little group from walking upstairs so she could go grab her glasses because she would not be able to see without them. And so I'm very curious to see if she will still have those glasses after spring break, or if at some point she'll realize, I think I can see without them. I think it'll be fine. I don't know. Again, like, it's just kid stuff. I love this kid stuff. They definitely help the days to go by a lot quicker, and just a lot quicker and more fun. Okay, so last two things with school related things. The first one is oh y'all. Okay, I'll end on the cute moment. Okay, so we'll save this one for right after I talk about the field trip. All right, field trips. When I was a classroom teacher, I loved to plan field trips. They were just fun. I mean, it's fun for the teacher as long as you can control your class, and it's fun for the students, and it gives you a break. You get out of the school building for a day. I really love field trips as the classroom teacher. Now, as a more support teacher, like these are not my main students. I see them, but I'm not the homeroom teacher by any means. It's a little different being the support because you can't, like, it's not my role to step in and to control all the students. And sometimes it's hard to not want to do, right? But I decided, I was asked to and I wanted to go on a field trip with our first graders. And so I went on the field trip. And it actually wasn't too bad, but being on a field trip reminded me of all the joys and the not so joys of being on the field trip. And honestly, the one thing that I think is like the worst part about field trips, and if you've ever volunteered to go on your kid's field trip, then you will resonate with this, and that is riding the bus. Okay, look, if you're a parent and you're gonna go on a field trip, please drive in the car, drive behind the bus, meet them there or something, but do not get on that bus because you will be like, what in the world? All right, so I was, of course I got to ride on the bus as a teacher. And when I say, y'all, I forgot how buses were. I mean, I guess it's been so long since I've been on a bus, or so long since I've been on a bus over students that are not mine. And I tell you what, it was loud. I don't know if you've ever been on a bus, but those buses are loud. I didn't know how the bus driver did it, like without going crazy. I mean, the kids, and especially if you got young kids, I think it's probably any age kids, but you know how sometimes like young kids can get that high pitched voice when they get excited and they talk like this and they get louder and more high pitched, and then you get a bunch of them and it's just this high ringing sound. Yep, that's what the school bus was. It was this high ringing like la 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 like the whole time. And that part was that might make you go a little crazy. I gotta admit, that was a little wild. But the field trip itself wasn't too bad. Now, we went outside. We were at some gardens. We did a botanical garden field trip, and it was nice in the sense that we were outside, but it was also so cold. I mean, it was like 40s and 50s, and we were freezing, and probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours of the field trip was outside, and so we were just freezing our little behinds off, but it was fun. But we were like, oh, it was so cold. So I wanted to also give shout out to those volunteers, because where we went, like I said, we went to the botanical gardens, and you just forget about the different jobs that are out there. And so there was the, educational instructor, the person who's in charge of like teaching the students and doing the activities with them. And then you have the volunteers who are also helping with with the students and doing those activities. And I guess I forget that there are jobs like that. And I was like, oh, shout out to those people who do kind of those just not thought about jobs. And I was like, I wonder if one day when I'm retired, like, would I want to volunteer at a place where there's field trips, like a science center or like the gardens or anything like that? Like, what gets people interested in doing that? Because I was looking at the volunteers and I was wondering, like, do they have a history in education, or did they used to be teachers, or do they just love working with students or what have you? And so I just thought, shout out to them, and just thought about that. Like, okay, that's something that when I am retired, I can think about doing. And then, of course, being the field or going back to the bus. So the bus ride is always, I think, the worst heading there, but it always is a little bit better heading back. And usually that's because the students are pretty tired after a full day out. Usually we've eaten lunch. Now, we hadn't at this point because we were supposed to eat outside, and we vetoed that due to how cold it was. But so we, on the way back, the students were tired. It was so cute watching a couple of them try to sleep. And riding the bus was so bumpy. I mean, you feel every pothole on the bus. And it was cute watching them trying to sleep. And then like one of the bumps would like knock them and jolt them. And they would kind of wake up but kind of go back to sleep. And it was much quieter on the way back. But the field trip overall was pretty fun. And it's something that I enjoyed, even as a support teacher, and that I enjoyed when I was a teacher. A homeroom teacher. It was pretty fun. But the last thing I wanted to share related to school is Okay, so I even think last episode, I was like, normally I share the cute, fun, awesome things that kids and students do. But then last episode I did share, a kid that maybe it wasn't as cute and precious, right? The kid screaming and crying because they didn't get what they wanted. Well, this time it was sort of a mixture in between that, but turned out to be really good. So it was my last group of the day, which is always hard anyway. Kids are done, I'm done, it's the last thing. It's like you are the person standing between me and the end of the day, literally. And I see them right before they go outside for wellness at the very end of the day, which is the new word we call for recess. And so I really literally am like the last thing between them, the end of the day and the most fun part of the day. And so it's a tough little group that I see. And so with this group, there's one little guy who often gets discouraged, and gets frustrated sometimes, has a lot of energy, doesn't always want to stay in his area. And this last week, we were doing an activity where we were going to build birds' nests. We'd been reading about and studying birds for the last couple of months. And so we're like, okay, a fun little activity to do before spring break, this week before spring break when we're all kind of ready to be out anyway, let's build some bird nest. And so this was the day to actually build it. We had done all our prep work the day before, or writing things up, writing down what we were going to be looking for, preparing for our experiment, And so now it's time to actually go outside and pick up everything to do the thing. And so he was, I could tell when I picked him up that he was already kind of in a space of, just maybe not wanting to do anything, but really trying to keep it together because he knew it was going to be fun, but I don't know what kind of mood he was in. I'm not really sure how to describe it other than he just was in a space. So we get upstairs and I'm like getting him prepped and I'm telling him what we need to do. And he's all distracted and wanting to interrupt and talk about other things and, not follow directions, not let me get through my directions, which was frustrating in and of itself. And but it was fine. Ultimately, it was fine. So I give them all their bowls and we're going outside to collect our things. And he's struggling to stay in line, but I'm like, okay, come on, let's stay in line. Let's keep it together. And we're coming outside and he's wanting to get in front of people and they're like, he's cutting me, just the whole thing, just, having a rough time. Well, we go outside and we are able to collect our things that we want for nests. They pick up their sticks, their leaves, flowers, petals, all kinds of things. We walk around the school and collect anything that we think would make a good nest. Well, my little guy, he has his bowl and he's collecting all the things that he thinks would make a good nest as well. And he's doing fine. He's doing great. Well, then I'm like, all right, you guys, it's time to go inside. And he starts running, right? And I'm like, be careful. I had already warned him before to be careful because we have things in our bowls and they could spill out. Well, you can imagine what happened. He starts running and everything in his bowl, the leaves, the sticks, whatever he had just flew out of his bowl. And I was like, oh man. And I was like, I am so sorry. I said, but we have to go inside. And he just, like some kids would get frustrated. Some would very quickly try to grab everything. Well, he just gave up and he was just frustrated. So he gets in line looking upset. Like he doesn't know if he wants to scream, cry, yell, be angry, upset. And I'm like, it's okay. We are working with partners anyway, as a group, to create our nest so you'll be able to use the things that other people collected to still participate. So we go up the stairs. We go all the way back to my little corner. We're building our nest and he works with his group. He does very well. Like he pulls himself together enough to start working on building on the nest, even though he doesn't have his own parts to help participate. And the other little guys, they're doing so good too. They're like, here, you can use my this, or here, you can have some of that. Like they're really trying their best to help him. And you can still see that he's frustrated with everything in the process. Well, then at the very end, I usually choose just someone who's been doing great that group day to be my line leader. I try to switch it up every day, try to pay attention, give people a chance, whatever. And so this day we're about to clean up and he stands up, which normally does not get me to do anything. Like you have to remain seated until I tell you that we're about to leave. Well, he stands up. He's like, can I be the line leader? Can I be the line leader? And normally that doesn't work for me either. Because if you ask me, that means that you're talking and not being quiet and listening and following directions. And so he just gets up and does it. And I'm standing up because I'm helping clean up. And I was like, I'm not sure because he wasn't the best behaved, but he did pull it together. And I was like, I might let him, like he did manage to pull it together. And I'll say that. I'll be like, because you were able to pull it together, I'll let you be my line leader. But before I could say anything, Y'all, I was just standing right there. And this little guy who's never done this before just flings his arms around my waist and just gives me this hug. You know, like those like burying type hugs. Like, I cannot help myself. I just need to hug you and disappear for a second. That's the kind of hug it was in all. And I'm not a real huge huggy person with my kids. Believe it or not, I love them to death, but I don't hug them that much. But I did this time. I wrapped my little arms around him and I gave him a squeeze and a pat on the back. And I let him hug me until he was ready to let go. And he hugged me. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'll let you be the line leader. You know, thank you for getting yourself together or whatever. And everybody else was like, yay, good, good for you or whatever. And proud of him, and they were able to all get in line. But I was like, oh, it was the hug, y'all. It was the hug that was the sweetest thing. Have y'all ever had that? Like just that, where I could just sense he was so overwhelmed with the emotions, whether it was frustration, whether of losing, of leaving all his stuff outside, whether it was whatever it was that he was feeling before he even came to my group that was making him agitated, or if he was just overwhelmed by just like, I just need something to go good for me right now. I don't know what it was. But that little hug was the sweetest thing. Because like I said, we're not like huggers. Like we don't hug that often. I don't know if he's ever hugged me, honestly. And so I just was like, y'all, that's sweet. Like he needed a hug. And I was so happy that I was able to give him one. So I loved that and thought that was just the sweetest, cutest thing. And so I was like, I gotta share that. Hugging somebody when they need it, and so I just thought that was too cute. And then I did say there was two things. I said that was the last two things I was share school-wise. I got one more. And this has to do with another teacher friend of mine, which is why I was like, okay, I can count this. We were talking to another student, actually. I can't remember what we were in there, I don't know, for some break or something. And my teacher friend, she's like, I got to tell you a joke talking to the student. He was like, okay. And she goes, knock, knock. Who's there? Banana, banana, who? Knock, knock, who's there? Banana, banana, who? Knock, knock, who's there? Banana, banana, who? Knock, knock, who's there? Orange. Orange who? Orange, you glad I didn't say banana? Well, she told him that joke, and he was like, what? Like when kids first hear it, and then adults, we just laugh because we know it's the goofiest thing ever. And so that made me think of knock, knock jokes, and I was like, I remember my favorite knock, knock joke from like teenhood, whatever, preteen, was knock, knock, who's there? Alec? Alec who? Electrician. Like, why I thought that was funny, I have no idea, but I loved that joke. I think it was because Alec was like a regular name, and then electrician was like someone who would be at your door. I don't know why I thought it was hilarious, but I legit loved that joke when I was a preteen. So tell me your favorite knock knock jokes. I think all of them are so goofy. Like I don't know that there's a legit good funny knock knock joke, but maybe there is out there. But to keep things even more interesting, on my, like, I promise you, Facebook listens to everything. On my Facebook page, I had seen one of those little ads or whatever, and it was a picture, and it was so cute. It was a picture. I might have to put this on Instagram. I don't know if I'd get in trouble for sharing it. I don't know if somebody drew it or what, but it was a door, and there was a banana knocking, and then there was two bananas behind it, and behind those bananas was an orange, and that's all the picture was. And I was like, that is hilarious. And when I clicked on the comments, like some people were like, that's so funny, we know what that means, and some people were like, I don't get it, what does it mean? And I was like, oh my goodness, like some people have never heard of that joke. Like hopefully you have. If you haven't, let me know, because I'm going to be like, how did you go your whole life without knowing that knock knock joke? Did you know any knock knock jokes? But yeah, so that's my school stuff. Those are school stories, just the things that have popped up, just fun little things, cute, lighthearted stories that make me think of spring and the lightness of spring that I'm so looking forward to. But so speaking of, it actually does kind of tie into school. So I had two church moments that I wanted to talk about. And one was, I have it titled Meaningful Hugs and Conversations. And the other one was called Humbling. So the first one will go into meaningful hugs and conversations. And the only thing that I wanted to say there was that there have been moments in the last couple of weeks where I have received some meaningful hugs from people, and it's just great. They're hugs that are given kind of like, so how like the little guy hugged me and I was able to know, oh, he needs a hug. Well, as an adult, I don't go around just hugging everybody, but there are times where people are able to give me those meaningful hugs that I know that they can sense whatever like the same thing that I sensed on that little boy. They can either sense overwhelmingness, or they can just sense that need, like, I need a hug. And so without even asking, I've had people give me what I consider meaningful hugs. I mean, maybe to them it was just a hug, but for me it was meaningful, and it meant a lot. Like, just the little hugs, the little arm squeezes, the little pats, the little hand touches, like those things that just let me know that they're thinking of me and that they care, have just been fantastic lately. And then I've had some good conversations. I was able to talk to one of my besties, Emmers, a couple weeks ago. And we were finally able to have like just a nice, long, just normal conversation just about life and everything. But it's been so busy that we haven't been able to talk as much. And so having that was just very life-giving and filling. And that happened at one of our church events. We had our volunteer dinner. And so being able to like talk there, and being around all my church folks was just very good and life-giving. So then let me tell you about my humbling moment. And y'all know what it's going to be related to. Every time I'm humbled, not every time, but most of the time I'm humbled is because something happened on the platform, usually related to me singing, that just keeps me humble. And so this is to set this up. I haven't been singing as often the last couple of months. Y'all know I've been either, we've been out for weather, or I was out for training, or I've been, taking a break, thinking, taking care of myself mentally, spiritually, and all that stuff. And so I haven't been singing as much. And so, but I'm, getting back in the swing of things. And so I had sang, it was a Wednesday night, and it had been a little bit since I had sang. And I was singing a solo, one that I've sang all the time, actually, sing it about once a month. And and so it's one of those that, like, why do we even have to practice it? We know it, but we practice it anyway because, you should practice. And during practice, everything worked out perfect. Like things are like perfect. I don't know. And I think what it is in practice, you're not nervous, so you just sing. But like during the actual service, you're more nervous, and so then it's harder to sing. I don't know, but I always feel like I sound amazing in practice, and then I go the live to sing it in the service, and it's like, what? All of a sudden I can't breathe right. The notes, I have no control. And so y'all, my biggest thing is always like, for the most part, when I mess up, I either like came in wrong or did something wrong. Y'all, tell me why. Why did this song that I know like the back of my hand, I come in to sing, and I don't know if I just came into the wrong part or what, but next thing I know, when you're singing and you're thinking, my voice ain't quite matching the music here. What is going on? That happened. My voice at some point stopped matching the music, and I was like, And then we were going to the chorus, and I was like, I think this is the chorus, but I'm still in the verse, and so I didn't know what to do. So y'all, I just stopped singing, and then my music minister had to start singing the chorus because we didn't know where we were in the chorus. And then I was like, I'll jump in the middle of the chorus, y'all. I was like, oh my goodness, they're gonna be like, this girl, get her off the stage, because I was like, I think I came in wrong. I think I came in too late. I don't know what I did, but it was terrible. And that's a way to keep me humble. Yep. So anytime I start feeling like, glad to be back, I'm confident, I'm going to kill this song. Who needs practice, whatever. I remain humbled. I will continuously remain humbled by little things like that. Nothing super terrible, but just enough to be like, don't ever get too big ahead. So, and it was fine. It wasn't like it was a big deal, but I was like, yep, that'll keep me humble. Yep. But anyway, so that was my two church moments. Now we're going to go into really quick. I wanted to share health stuff. Y'all, I've been talking about my 9 to 9, I think every episode, like how I'm trying to not eat after 9 and to shut down the social media and stuff after 9 and things like that. And I'm still doing that. I haven't been as good social media wise, but I have still been doing pretty good about not eating after 9 and just drinking water after 9. And it's going good. I think it's still doing good. It's helping me maintain my weight just by doing that. I haven't been going to the gym as much, but I do plan to get back into that. But y'all, one thing I did do, I did the thing that I think every woman has done. And that is, if you've ever cared about your fitness journey and you are a woman and you are married, I don't know why marriage seems to be part of it, but I feel like it is. Maybe not, I don't know. At some point in your life, you were like, I think I need a treadmill. I've reached that point where I said, I think I need a treadmill. That being said, I did not need the expensive, like $3,000 kind of treadmills. I found, those one treadmills that are like, portable kind of, like they can fold or whatever. They're small and you can like put them under a desk and stuff like that. Yeah. I put that in my Amazon my Amazon cart, actually my husband's Amazon cart. And luckily he bought it for me. He was like, you really want to use this thing? I'm like, yes, of course I'm going to use it. And so he bought me one of those portable treadmills, and I was like, I am now a full-grown woman, because I feel like back in the day, all I remember was women would buy treadmills and, of course, use them like 3 times and then never use them again. And so I'm like, I'm officially a woman because I bought a treadmill. Now, I do plan to use it. We'll see how often we use it. What's so funny is that it came in probably, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and y'all, tell me why it's still in the box, like leaning against the wall next to my door, the front entrance door, still like 2 weeks later. My husband's like, are you going to take that apart and put it somewhere? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, the only reason I haven't is because I don't know where I want to put it. I don't know if I want to put it in the bedroom. I feel like if I put it all the way downstairs, I won't use it. I don't know if I want it near my living room. I just don't know where I want to put it. And so y'all, it's just sitting there. So obviously in the last 2 weeks, I have not used it, but I do plan to use it at some point. But I do feel that is a rite of passage of some kind of me buying that treadmill. So I'll have to let y'all know if I do end up using it and if it's actually a good investment. For at least, for someone who is moderately interested in exercising, and wants to do more walking, but doesn't always want to go outside to do it. So we will see. We will see how that goes. All right. So now we're on to my random thoughts of the last couple of weeks. Okay. I'm going to start by saying that since I mentioned that I did put that treadmill in my Amazon, you guys, I mentioned last episode that the book suggestions have been getting me, the book recommendations. And I had told you that I was thinking about getting the book, what was it? Don't Overthink It, I think, which I did end up getting actually because I accidentally stuck that also in my husband's cart. Now, the treadmill I did on purpose because I was like, this is big. I don't want to buy this. But the book, I actually meant to just, purchase on my own, but I stuck it in my husband's Amazon cart, and so he went ahead and bought it, and he was like, it was there, so I assumed you wanted it. I was like, okay, yes, please. So I got that book, but y'all, tell me why. I also got another book recommendation, and I bought it. It was called The Anxious Generation. And I had heard of it, and my husband, when he saw that in the mail, he was like, why did you buy this? And I was like, okay, look, I said, I've heard a lot about this book. I went to a training that referenced this book, and I've heard different people talk about it. And I said, it's essentially about how social media isn't good for young students and for young children. And he was like, yeah, we already know that. We don't need a book to tell us that. And I was like, well, yeah, I know that, but I want to know the science behind it. And he was like, okay, sure. So I bought that because that was a book suggestion, you all. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get it. And then when I go on Amazon and they're only like $10 to $15, I'm kind of like, okay. But you guys, I think that's my 3rd, maybe 4th book that I've bought just off these like Facebook recommendations that's been popping up. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then you all, it's not the only books that I bought this month. I don't know what it is. I've been feeling very bookish lately. But I was waiting for pricing packages the other night. It was after a doctor's appointment, which I have to share some stuff about that with you guys. It was after an appointment, and I was like, okay, let me buy some time before I get a pricing practice. And so I went into a bookstore. And y'all, I am all about bookstores. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. There used to be a bookstore called Borders. I don't think they have them anymore. But I went into the bookstore and I was looking at different books. And I had seen like a devotional that I wanted. I had seen another book that I was thinking about getting. And when I looked at it, one of the books I wanted was $30. And I was like, ooh, $30. Like, that's kind of expensive for a book. I mean, not, just depending. And so I was like, let me just check on Amazon. You guys, I found the same book on Amazon for $10 because it was half off. It showed like its regular price, and then it was like another $5 off on top of that. So I was like, $10 for the same book? And I was like, what? So then I kept looking, and then I saw this devotional that I wanted from Joyce Meyer, y'all know, and it was $17. Well, then I look on Amazon, and it was like 10 something, 15, 13. I can't remember how much it was, but it was like $5 cheaper on Amazon. And I was like, why are they so much more cheaper on Amazon? And I felt kind of guilty because here I am in the bookstore being like, well, I'm going to, of course, get it off Amazon because I can get it within the next 2 days, and get the book, like get 2 books for pretty much the price of one, for even less than the price of one. And so I don't want to call it a life hack because I don't know if that is hurting book companies or not. Like, I don't know if Amazon is going to put book companies out of business, which I do not want, right? Like, I love being able to walk into a bookstore and feel the books. But I will say, okay, so if you can, if you just feel like supporting the bookstores and can afford it, get them at the bookstore, right? But if you're like, I'm kind of on a budget right now, I've already bought like 5 books this month, so maybe I need to lessen up a little bit, then check on Amazon. Like, just check and see, because they might have the same book literally for half the price. Kind of remind me of like Half Price Bookstore. Other than these are brand new books, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I'm like advertising something that you guys are like, no, get it from the bookstore because of the percentage of this and that and people, and it gives them more money. I don't know anything like that. All I know is that I looked on Amazon and it was literally half price of what it was in store. And so I don't know if that's a hack or not. But I thought I would share just in case. I don't know. For if you're trying to save money but still need some good reads, check out Amazon. Truly, I was just very surprised. But I've been excited about all these books. I cannot wait for the summer because I want to read them in the summer. I've been trying to kind of sneak some reads now, like read a page or two. But I think I might, I don't know. I need to figure out how to incorporate more book reading in my schedule of life, right? Y'all know I'm always like, okay, what should I be doing from 7 to 9 a.m.? You know, how can this build my life or whatever? So I have been reading those books. Those have been great. And I'm excited about the summer to hopefully read them all. Maybe do like a book review series or something. I don't know, make us something special, because I've been loving the book recommendations and book reviews from other people. So we'll see about that. Y'all know my brain, it goes everywhere and wants to try something all the time. But okay, so that was like my book things. In addition to just book stuff and things like that, I do want to say, so I mentioned how right before pacing practice, I had a doctor's appointment, right? Well, it was a doctor's appointment where I was going to get blood drawn. So like a lab appointment. And let me tell y'all, okay, so I went to this office, and when I first go in there, I'm like, like this is an office of older patients. I mean, I walk in and the waiting room is like older patients. Like everybody, I was like the youngest person there, and everybody looked 60 and above, not even like 50 and above. I mean like 60 and above. Like these were some older patients. And I was like, oh, okay. And the vibe of the office though, like normally like I would not, share all of this because, it's health stuff and doctor stuff, but just the vibe of the office was so like, it just felt old school. It felt like a movie. I don't know. It wasn't like, I guess, doctor's offices that I'm normally in, which feel, I guess, younger. I don't know. But it was full of older people. And then even the reception, like the medical receptionist, I guess, and the check-in people, that was just part of the ambiance, was that they were older as well. And this is what I mean. So I go to the waiting room, and not too far across from me is this older gentleman. I mean, everybody's like white-haired, older people, older gentleman. And he has a crossword puzzle book thing just flipped over, and he's like writing in it and doing it. I mean, I was like, okay, step back in time. And then there was this other guy who was getting checked in, older gentleman again, and he's like, I only sing for you, talking about the receptionist lady who's also older. And he legit breaks out in like old school singing. Like, he sounded good. I mean, but he's like I'm telling you, white-haired old man who's just like, and when I was, it was just, I was like, what? And he's just singing to her. I guess, how I like that old school flirting or whatever, or singing. And so he was doing that, right? And then there was these 2 older women that were they were sitting next to each other, but there was a seat in between them. But she's leaned over across the other woman, and she's just like, so let me tell you, da 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 da, and these are older white-haired little like women. And I was like, this is like stepping back in time. I was like, this is so different. But it was great. And so then this is how I know. I was like, this office is cozy, not cozy, but like they know each other. It was like a know each other, diner type vibe. Yeah, that's like everybody knows each other. They've come in all the time. They're used to each other. That's how it felt. And so when I was sitting there, one of the ladies, she was one of the lab people, because she pricked my finger to get my blood, which, y'all, it has been so long since I've had a finger prick. I was like, that hurts. Like, that hurts worse than like than like the blood draws that I get out of my arm. Like, what was this? I did not like that one bit. Because she like pricked it and then like kept squeezing it to get the blood out. I was like, I'm not feeling that. That hurt. But anyway, so she was leaving. And while she was leaving, she's like, y'all, I mean, they're yelling across this is a big old waiting room. And they're just, I don't want to say yelling, but talking loudly across the waiting room. And she's like, all right, y'all, I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm tired. I am so tired. I'm done for the day. And so one of the reception ladies was like, all right, girl, are you going to eat tonight? Or are you just going to drink? And the girl's like, I'm just drinking. I'm not eating. I'm probably not going to eat anything. And so she walks out and I'm like, oh, like drinking what? But okay. Well, that's what you think, right? But you don't say anything. Well, then another reception lady said, what did she say? And then the one who was talking to her, she said she was going out and drinking. What did she say she was drinking? She's drinking smoothies. Oh, like I was like, oh, yeah. And then she's like, yeah, she started drinking smoothies to help her lose weight. I've noticed she's been losing weight. Yeah. And then a third person chimes in, yeah, she's lost like 20 pounds. And the other one was like, well, is it a special kind of smoothie? No, I think it was just fruit. And she's like, well, that's why she's always so tired, because she ain't eating nothing. She needs to eat. If you just drink smoothies with fruit, that your body changes. Y'all, I was dying. I was like, oh my goodness, like this is funny because they were just, like I said, going back and forth. This is being, talked loudly across the waiting room. There's obviously other people there and nobody's like responding or reacting. They're just talking to each other. And it was just funny because they're like, oh, okay, all right, well, she's looking good. Yeah. They're going back and forth and talking. I was like, that's funny. Like I don't know. I walked into like an old school diner waiting room. But anyway, so I thought that was funny. And I ended up, I had my appointment. The rest of the appointment went fine and went great. But I thought that was great. And then my only point, like I said, was making that I liked that place. My doctor he was an older guy as well. He fit the vibe just as much. Very, very nice. Felt like he knew a lot. It was a good experience overall, but I was like, I think I'm gonna like this doctor's office. Like the people here are fun. Like I feel like after I start coming for a while, they might get to know me and then they'd be like, hey, and next thing you know, they'll be hollering across the way at me, being like, what are you doing, girl? Put me in on it. Maybe the older guy will sing for me one day, who knows, but anyway, so that was fun. And so we'll see how that continues to go. If I have any more appointments there in the next few weeks or months or something, I'll keep y'all posted on if the vibes continue or if they change or anything. But anyway, so that was that. That was pretty fun. A good experience overall. A couple more things to share and then we'll wrap it up. The first thing I want to share with you guys, okay, maybe like 3 things. One, because it's so quick. Okay, so I don't think it's been a while. I think it's been a while since I've talked about 7 Brew. Y'all remember that? Like, I don't know exactly when I first tried 7 Brew, but I liked it and it was pretty good and I still enjoy it. And the only thing that I want to say about 7 Brew is that I don't know that I accurately know how to pick these lanes. Right? Do you like, I don't mind the 2-lane option, but it gives me not anxiety, but it does make me feel a certain way because I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick this lane and I get in it. And then all of a sudden, like the other lane, like flies past, like they get through them so fast or whatever. And I feel like no matter what, I end up picking the lane that I don't know. It's not the right lane. Maybe it's the right lane. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel like I feel like I always pick the wrong lane. I don't know. Does anybody else feel that way? That was literally the only thing that I wanted to throw out there was that I was in a 7 Brew and I had picked one of the lanes and I was like, okay, this is going to be a good short one. Nah, I got around that corner and I was like, man, I should have went the other lane because there was like 3 cars in front of me compared to the other one. So that's my only thing, just something to relate to you all. And if that happens to you, just know that you are not alone, that I totally get it. Being in that, picking the wrong lane, like every time, I guess it just is what it is. But then, okay, the other thing that I wanted to throw out there was, so I was talking to my friend, and she was like, that's a good little point. That is funny. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna share this. So I have been working on a lot of things, as y'all know, but one of the things that I've been trying to do better is being in agreement with my husband. And you're like, what? And listen carefully. This is, don't get too ahead. My husband and I get along great. We're great. But I am, and luckily I'm blessed to have a husband who lets me be pretty independent. Like for the most part, I can kind of just do what I want, like without having to talk to him about it, just do whatever because it's just part of what it is. Um, but there are some areas where I'm like, I probably should, maybe give my husband's thoughts and opinions on this. Y'all know, like if you're a wife, you know that there are some areas that like I probably could have, should have got his thought and opinion on this, but I didn't know if he would agree with me. So I just didn't. And so I said, okay, one of the things that I'm going to work on is I am going to try to, and I told my friend this, I said, I don't know if I can say the word submit. That feels big. I was like, but I'm going to try to align myself with my husband a bit more in some areas. So this part of the segment is purely for the women, okay? That and for the men, don't listen to this, men. This is not for you, and this is not for your wife, okay? She may already be in that place, but this is for other women. If you are like, okay, if you're like me, like your husband lets you be very independent and pretty much do what you want for the most part, and you think, okay, well, maybe there are some areas that I could possibly maybe somewhat get his opinion, then that's something we can practice together, and we can practice aligning ourselves with our husband. Not saying they don't agree with us or not saying they wouldn't want the same things as us, but maybe even just getting at least their thoughts on it, regardless if we act on it or not, but at least maybe getting their thoughts on it. So I was like, yes, that's a goal of mine. Just know I am working on aligning myself with my husband for us to grow better and to be better. Not saying we're not already great, but hey, marriage is a continuously working thing. And so that is one of my marital goals. And y'all, this is not something triggered by my husband, by the way. He has not mentioned any of this. I don't even know if I've told him that I'm working on aligning myself with him. I don't know that I will. I think I did say I do want to be in agreement on some things. That's the other way I phrase it. I was like, let's be in agreement. Like I said, I don't know if I can use the big S word, submit like that. And that one's a little harder to kind of say and to talk about. But agreement and alignment, I think I can get behind. But anyway, so I thought I would throw that out there. Please do not, though, ask me how that's going. Feel free to ask me how any of my other things are going. How is it trying to smell good? How's it trying to not, eat or drink after 9? But please don't come up to me be asking, how are you doing with aligning yourself with your husband? Just know that I'm working on it, and there we are. You can let me know if you want to work on it too. Maybe we'll work on it together. But all right, you guys. So the last thing I want to share is one thing that I did find on my algorithm, on my Facebook thing. Y'all know I don't understand how things pop up, but they do, and it works on me because I do stop and look at things. But this one I actually thought was kind of good, and I've been seeing these kind of picture quote things, and it'll say in English we say blank to blank to blank, in poetry we say blank to blank to blank. Now, I don't understand why it says in English instead of maybe like in layman terms, or in basic vernacular we say blank to blank, and in poetry we say blank to blank, because everything is written in English. So I don't get that part of it, but I do like that it has like the short phrase versus the poetic version. And so I've been reading those and catching on to those, but one of them actually did catch my attention enough that I took a picture of it, and I was like, I do want to read that again. And so I wanted to share that with you guys, what it said, and just share it just because I liked it. So it said, in English we say, I'm finally healed. In poetry we say, I no longer wake to the echo of yesterday's ache, no longer mend my heart with borrowed hope. What once felt like a wound now blooms with a garden. Y'all, I was like, oh, I like that. I was like, I like the feel of that. And especially with where I am, y'all know my journey. Y'all know where I am. I'm, healing, getting to the place of feeling healed, trying to, get better, trying to find that place of healing. Healing doesn't mean that the hurt never happened, but it does mean that, you're growing from it and getting better from it. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I just really liked how it put that. Like I liked the phrase, no longer wake up to the echo of yesterday's ache. And y'all know, because I've mentioned before, that sometimes the hardest part hardest moments of this journey has been like the nighttime, the going to bed and the waking up, right? Once you get in your day, it fills up. And so you don't have to think too much, but it's those times right before you go to bed when it's the most quiet, or right when you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't even feel motivated, right? So I was like, ooh, I like that. And then I liked when it said, no longer mend my heart with borrowed hope. I was like, oh, that will preach, okay? Because sometimes we do have to borrow hope, but it would be nice to be able to have that hope bloom in and of yourself, right? But sometimes it can be scary to think that way, because sometimes hope brings disappointment. Y'all, don't even get me there. Y'all been there with me before. But I really liked that, mending the heart with hope. I was like, oh, I like that. And then what once felt like a wound now blooms with like a garden, like it grows, something good comes from it. And so I just liked that. I was like, I really like that quote. Like, I don't know who wrote it. I don't know any of that, but I was like, I really like that phrasing of it. And so I wanted to share that with you guys. And I wanted to end the podcast on that. I was like, I just wanted to I know that that's going to be the last thing I want to talk about, because that's for me, such a positive, like, just a beautiful imagining. And I think it ties in so well with, of course, where I am in my journey, but also just where everybody is with the weather, with the season, and like the idea of things blooming and growing and feeling good again, and kind of waking up to the sun in your face, hopefully like that's kind of what this next season brings for us, both physically, the season of spring, but also emotionally and spiritually. Like, I'm hoping that things bloom in people's lives, and hope is grown and felt, and I'm hoping that people get excited and start to feel healed in their journeys and the things that are happening in their life. And like I said, even with the physical, like, I know like seasonal depression's a thing, y'all. When you're already feeling a little gloomy and then the weather matches your gloom, then it's like extra gloomy, right? And so I'm excited about, these brighter sunshine days, the leaves coming back to the trees, the blooms coming back, the green and the colors and all of that. So so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about it being spring, about us getting into that season, moving forward into that kind of life-giving season, for everybody, just across the board. And so I did want to end on that and be like, hey guys, let's do this. Let's enter the season and hopefully enter into a next positive, full of life, growing season. Even if, like I said, and we're all in different areas, seasons all look different, but hopefully we will move towards that. And at least for me, that's kind of where I am. I'm hoping that I can move towards that and enter into at least a season with spring-like characteristics, right? With a little bit of growth, a little bit of light, some breeziness, all those wonderful things that come with spring and with hope and all of that. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I hope you have a great April, a great start to your April, a great start to your spring. And I will catch y'all in a couple weeks.